Not long ago, Elon Musk said to his employees that they need to go back to the office and stop working from home. He was lambasted. People said he was a dictator. I read this myself. I'm not making this up. I saw this on many different places. It was on Twitter. It was on forums. He was crucified for saying workers need to go back into the office. Now, Mary Barra has done the same thing. She said to GM's employees, they must now attend the office a minimum of 3 days per week. Frankly, I support her 100%. I supported Elon when he made those comments 100%, and the reason for this is science. Seriously, I kid you not. Working from home, for most people, is extremely detrimental to their health. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Welcome to all the new subscribers and welcome back everyone else. I'm going to put it straight out there, just tell you guys a little bit about me. I actually rent this office here. It's actually a house. I rent this house simply for the sole purpose of working and not working from home. I don't actually need it. Realistically, I could film videos at home. I mean, it wouldn't be ideal for a number of reasons, but it's really very possible. I don't do it because I think it's unhealthy. And I've had that opinion now for years. In fact, even before the COVID pandemic started. Now, a lot of people, when I said to them, I believe it wasn't healthy working from home over the past several years, before COVID in particular, would look at me with a funny look, like a glazed expression, like, you're crazy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with working from home. It's great. You don't have to drive anywhere. You can just take it easy. There's all these so-called benefits. Well, it turns out, pretty much everyone was wrong. Why? Well, because now so much of the world has worked from home, and we've had this global experiment that happened during the COVID pandemic, we've actually got to see what's happened as a result. You know, the single biggest issue that working from home causes? Well, it is weight gain. Another issue, which is probably equally as bad, depression, weight gain, depression, and not only that, but people that have been surveyed, and I'm talking about surveys of hundreds of thousands of people in the Western world, say that working from home, they're working longer hours, they feel ineffective, and they're gaining weight, which is leading to depression and much lower moods. In fact, another thing it leads to is a lot less exercise. I mean, a lot of people who don't work from home, often during as part of their commuting process, they'll walk part of the way. Like they might catch a train and then they'll walk from the station to work. Something like that, or walk to the bus stop, or even walk to work. But people stopped doing that. They stopped exercising. Largely. Yes, some people didn't, but a lot of people did. Now, of course, there are benefits to working from home. The commute to work can be hard to beat, for one. But research out of La Trobe University here in Australia, and since from many different universities and think tanks around the world, says that most people have had a negative experience when working from home. This for me was the single biggest issue with working from home, and it still is now. You never get away from your workplace, ever. Those surveyed said the boundaries between work and home life became blurred and they felt isolated from their colleagues. Remember, we are social creatures as human beings, even if we're introverted or extroverted. For those of you who are introverts, you still do need social interaction. It's part of being a human being. It's what defines us. One of the things that makes us different from animals like tigers or leopards. We need social interaction with other people, regardless of whether or not we're introverts. According to this study's lead, Associate Professor Jody Oakman, many respondents also reported exhaustion and said their fitness suffered. And the other thing that's happened is lack of efficiency. It's much harder to be motivated when you're at work all the time. Just imagine you lived in your office all the time. You lose motivation to work hard. It's like, because there's no boundary between work and home, it feels like you're at work all the time. And then your discipline starts to erode. Now, of course, this isn't the case for everyone. You might be one of the exceptions. You might be very disciplined, self-driven. You might be one of those people who's actually made the best of the situation and it works for you. But the truth is, for 9 out of 10 people, this scenario doesn't work. And guess what? Elon Musk and Mary Barra, they're both smart enough to know it doesn't work for them either. It doesn't work for their businesses and it doesn't work for their staff. So what I'm curious to know is, now that Mary Barra has come out and said that employees need to come back to work, those working from home, at least 60% of the time, Will she be blasted and told that she's Vladimir Putin, or worse than Vladimir Putin, she's a global dictator as a result? Now, that's what people are saying about Musk. They're making crazy comments because of things like this. And I don't really think they're thinking through why they're making these comments. Very, very emotional comments saying he's a right-wing psychopath and, wants to just lead the world into destruction. Crazy things. But I'm curious, if you're one of those people, or if you know one of those people, I want to know your reaction. I want to know their reaction to this news. Now that Mary Barra is now obviously a crazy dictator, forcing people to go back to work. What are your thoughts on this? Barra said, employees who transition to working remotely some or all of the time during the pandemic will pivot to a more regular in-person work cycle. They'll now be expected to work 3 days on campus each week. The interesting thing is, this is a change from GM CEO Mary Barra's work appropriately mindset, which rolled out in April when the COVID-19 virus heavily affected work attendance. General Motors vaguely explained what work appropriately meant, but clarified it was more of a mindset rather than a formal office policy. Personally, I'm strongly against this kind of concept of a mindset. I think workplaces need boundaries and rules. I think as human beings, we all need those. If we own our own businesses, we set our own boundaries and rules. The future of work is not a one-size-fits-all approach, and our values and behaviors will guide us in this culture change, stated GM CEO Mary Barra earlier this year. Now, clearly, her opinion has changed between April and September of this year. So she's had about 5 months to change her mind and realize that actually it wasn't working for GM. Work appropriately means that where the work permits, employees will have the flexibility to work where they can have the greatest impact on achieving their goals, or our goals. It is up to leaders to focus on the work, not the where, and we will provide the tools and resources needed to make the right decisions to support our teams, said Barra. So GM has changed their policy, in particular for their electric vehicle staff. General Motors' new in-office work policy will take effect later this year. Raynal explained that GM rolled out the new policy to prepare for the 22 electric vehicles the automaker plans to launch next year. Realistically, do you think they're going to launch 22 new EVs next year? Yeah, I can't see that happening. But anyway, that's a whole different story. The GM spokesperson clarified that the policy would drive collaboration, enterprise mindset, and impact. GM is working hard to transition from internal combustion engine manufacturer into an EV car maker. And that's a good thing. Earlier this month, GM announced plans to upgrade and invest in its facilities to prepare for electric vehicle manufacturing. I think in particular, the focus lately has been on their 4 factories that they plan on building. Obviously, one of them is already opened. But the other thing is, it's interesting. GM is doing things that I think do show they are committed to EVs now. They could speed things up. I think they should speed things up. But they're doing things like retooling factories at massive cost. Retooling factories now to go from building gas-powered vehicles to doing things like building electric vehicle parts, which is really important because a lot of people are not aware of this, but GM gets a huge amount of its electric vehicle parts actually from Hyundai Grobus. Now, for example, GM is going to invest $500 million on 2 new press lines in its plant in Indiana. This investment includes upgrades to press and die lines. GM is also investing $760 million to convert its propulsion plant in Toledo, Ohio, into a facility that produces motors for EVs. Now, a lot of GM's fans, they're up in arms right now. They are very, very angry at General Motors for saying it's all in on EVs. I didn't realize just how angry they were. I went onto some YouTube videos, went onto some websites. Wow, people are angry. They are saying that they are going to, walk away from the brand. I think this is just some extreme minority, but I'm interested to know, do you know any people who are really against GM for making this decision? I mean, kudos to General Motors for doing it. And I have to say, I'm kind of surprised at the incredibly emotional reaction of some people to GM's all EV plans. Now, GM's not going to be all EV until, 2035. So these people have got 13 years to get over their hurt feelings. I think they'll get over it, but who knows? We'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.